So yeah, hey, thanks for doing this for me. Really appreciate it.
No problem.
So you know, your character, I mean, just iconic, loved character. Everybody loves him. I mean, when you first come out on stage, man, it's got to be to the applause, and it's just got to be like such a huge rush. I mean, no coffee is needed. Pre-show coffee, I would think.
No, no. Uh, it, I always said it's one of the best entrances a character can have because you're just running and screaming, and there's just a really high energy, a lot of fun. So there's no real warm up on stage because into the scene because it just you know it's such an exciting entrance, and the audiences always are so responsive. They either love the play before, they love either of the movies, they love all of the sequels, and they obviously know who Timon and Pumbaa are. So it's great. It's amazing.
Have you watched like all the movies?
I have a 22-year-old, so anything after like 2008, no. But before that, I've seen all of them many, many times.
Did that
So
sort
I
of
haven't seen the live action. I haven't. That is something I haven't done yet. I haven't watched the live action one.
We have two girls, 5 and a 3-year-old, so I've seen them probably a million times. But
Yeah.
yeah, did sort of you watching them a million times, I'm sure before they got too old to not watch them. Did that sort of color anything for you in your performance?
No, because the play or the live performance is so different than the movie. I mean, it's the way that Julie Taymor uh, interpreted and brought the movie to life in such a unique way. Um, couldn't really, other than the voices and the overall characters, which are basically in the script, all the scripts. It's uh, I can't say I really did.
Um, I want to ask you about the costume because it looks to me massive.
It
It's
is
just
massive.
how do you like you have to operate everything with your arms, and I'm a big arm actor, so how do you like how did
But
you
we
like
should
when you
talk about that.
yeah, probably, yeah, that's on a
I would
separate
talk about
call.
yeah. um, well, I started out in the play into 1997 was when I was first on stage in March of 1998, and I started as the understudy of Timon, Pumbaa, and Zazu. So they're three very different and diverse ways of puppetry, right? Zazu is very much like a Muppet. You manipulate the mouth with a trigger. You hold him in your hands in front of you. Timon is more bunraku, which is a full size puppet that's attached to your body, that the hands are manipulated with sticks and triggers. And Pumbaa is a costume puppet. So it means that you're inside the puppet itself, manipulating the mouth with your arms, hands, fingers, um, much like Big Bird would be, I would say, or yeah, well, yeah. So it's a costume really, and it's very heavy. It's 50 pounds, 25 in the front, 25 in the back, about, and it balances really easily on your shoulders. I always tell people that the hardest puppet for me was Zazu because you're holding it in front of him. It messes your center of balance. It you're constantly using your fingers in your hand to manipulate things, and it's really hard on your shoulders and your hands, right? It's the little muscles, little tendons in your hands. Timon is it throws off your center of balance because it's attached to you by a harness onto your chest, which brings you forward, which means you're just all your back muscles throughout the whole thing are pulling the thing up, and it's attached to your feet, so you're basically stretching the puppet as well. So that's really hard on your back and your hand because the hand manipulates his head, talks. With Pumbaa, I always said he's the easiest because as long as you keep center of balance on your shoulders and you're not leaning too far forward or too far back. It's really it's your large muscles in your shoulders. So it's a much more it's much easier on your body. It just is. You're not using little muscles in your fingers and tendons. You're using your arms just going up and down. Now there's a 3-act play going on inside his head because there's the tongue, there's the eyes, there's the nose that all have to be manipulated with the hands that are inside the head. But again, they're bigger muscles, and it's not a wear and tear on your body. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. So like when you're backstage, like you can you like sit down or rest, or you standing up the whole time?
Some actors do. I had I when I was on the Broadway, I requested a very soft stool that was basically custom built to my height so that I could sit down and it wouldn't hurt my. But here, everything has to travel, and a cushion isn't an option because it would tear in the moving, and they're all standard size stools. So I don't sit in the show in the puppet. I rest the head on top of the stool for a little bit of a break, but I don't sit. No.
Do you have to have like some people help you get into it?
I have a designated dresser.
Yeah,
I'm not much in the first act, right? So I don't enter until almost 36 minutes into the first act.
that's the best,
So,
isn't it? You can just hang out for a bit.
well, I'm getting makeup and costume. It's not like I'm not doing anything,
Right.
but and the wig is it's big and bulky, and I can't put that on myself either. But so I share a dresser with the hyenas, who are mostly like when they're on stage, I'm not on stage. So and each town we go to is a local person. So I'm basically retraining somebody every 3 weeks to help me get in and out of the puppet. It's heavy and it's awkward. It's not an easy thing to put on and off. So so yes, it's a team effort. As a matter of fact, all of the puppets are a team effort. Not so much Zazu, but you can't really get into the Timon puppet by yourself, and I cannot get into the. I wouldn't be able to do it. So it's absolutely a team effort, and that's part of the fun of it too, right? Off stage, I'm meeting new people all the time, and we're figuring out how we're going to do this show together. And like I said, it's Team Pumbaa. I can't do it without him.
When you first auditioned for the show, did you have any experience in like puppetry or costumes like
No,
this?
no, and Julie was pretty. Julie's an interesting person. She wanted actors first. That was her. I just want good actors. Um, they don't, and I want good dancers and I want good singers. And after that, we'll work on whatever skills you have to acquire. Early on, though, they didn't have two of everything. They only had one of everything. So I never got to rehearse with puppets unless I was called for rehearsal. So I never had any real time. And and early on in the very, very beginning, they were rehearsing with the principal people, not the understudies as much. So I basically built my own puppets to practice with. I built my own Zazu. I built my own Timon. I didn't build my own Pumbaa, but I would walk around as if I had it on. But
Hmm.
yeah, I had to learn this. I had to learn it by myself, basically. So
That's
no, I had no puppetry, and they still don't hire anybody with puppets. You have to sort of you're thrown in the deep end very quickly with the puppets.
I would imagine it's kind of like this working with Pumbaa, like doing concentrating on one thing, like being an actual good actor on stage, and then so that's to me
It,
in my head, that's what it would be like.
but that's fun, right? So
Yeah.
that's part of the challenge of this show is trying to act like as if you're acting with another person, but through the puppet. So moving the eyes, making the snout go like it's sniffing, manipulating the head so that it looks like it's alive is part of the challenge, and it's an impossible one, right? You're never going to be able to do it, but the process of trying to make that puppet come alive is to me fascinating, difficult, and sometimes it strings you as an actor because there are some things you can do as a person that you can't do with the puppet. So you're constantly trying to find new ways to bring the thing alive. And I started the show, like I said, in 1998 really, and I was in the show for 10 years, and now I'm back, and I still feel like I'm learning something new every day and trying stuff to make that happen.
When you first got the part, could you imagine that you would be with the show for this long now, or have association with it?
I I saw the show at the invited dress, and I just said I have to be in the show. There's just no I'm perfect for this show. I have to do Timon. I have to do Zazu. Not so much Pumbaa, because Pumbaa's Tom Ryland Robbins, a friend of mine who was the original Pumbaa, is a big guy, and I just never saw myself in that role. It has since evolved into anybody, short, fat, big, small. They've had all types play this part, and that was a real lesson too. It's like, don't assume because you're not the actor who did it to begin with, or his type, that you couldn't do it. Because I consider myself an excellent Pumbaa, and that was another lesson, right? Don't put yourself in a box. So yeah, I when I saw the show, I said I have to be in it. And when I was in the show, again, it's this long process of you're always learning something new. It's never dull. It's never a complete process. And yeah, I've loved being in this show, and I've had opportunities to do other Broadway shows. Um, but the challenge of this show is what makes it so much fun.
I like that piece of advice you slipped in there. Don't put yourself in a box.
It's true. Particularly in the show, everybody brings. I mean, Timon, if you're tall, it doesn't help you if you're tall, right? It looks funny because the puppet's never going to get bigger or smaller with you. It's always the same size. And when you're shorter, the puppet is more showcased than the person. When you're too tall, you're going, that's so weird. But Zazu can be any type as long as he's erudite and major domo. And Pumbaa, they've had all types play Pumbaa, and they've all brought something to it. And all the Timons, we have a very tall Timon understudy right now, and when he does it's great. It just looks, it's just like. But that's that. There are some restrictions to some characters, but Pumbaa is not one.
When you're traveling to all these cities, how do you keep your voice healthy? Because I've done a ton of musicals myself, and I haven't traveled anywhere, and I just get like, I'm just like, oh, I got to have all my water, and this and that, and but especially traveling, that's got to put like even more sort of agita on you, I would think.
I would tell up and coming actors that warm-ups and vocal rest when you're not on the show and taking care of your body is of utmost important, particularly when you're on the road or in buses, airports, hotel rooms. You don't have the comforts or the equipment that you would have in your own apartment or your own home. Saying that, I'm maybe not the best heeder of my own advice. I've always had a
though.
sort of.
I mean,
I stretch my body. Yes, I do that every night. Only because you have to. You just have to. You have to keep your body in shape, and you have to stretch. Otherwise, you're going to get injured. You never know when something's going to happen. That's like for example, I fell the other night. Timon throws up a fish, and I go and try and catch it. Well, the throw was way behind me, so as I was backing up, I caught my edge of my shoe on the lip of one of the tracks, and fell over backwards, and totally destroyed the puppet. And and it sort of wrecked my back a little. And it's taking longer for it to heal because I'm going out on stage every night with that 50-pound puppet on. so I'm constantly trying to catch up with you know, it's that one little thing that you just did, that nagging thing that's just taking too long. It should have been fixed by now. It was almost a month ago that it happened, but it's still nagging me. So you have to keep your body in shape if you want
Um,
to do it.
have you tried, like, weirdly, have you tried acupuncture? Because something like that happened to me on my ankle.
We travel with a physical therapist. Her name
Okay.
is amazing, and she when you if you injure yourself, she's always there to sort of make sure that you're taken care of physically, whether that's massage. She also does acupuncture. She does the cupping.
Oh, wow.
um, yeah, she's kind of a jack of all trades when it comes to fixing a person. And yes, we did acupuncture, we did muscle manipulation, and she's given me exercises and stretches. So yes, there's a person whose sole job it is to make sure we get out on stage in as best health, physically, as we can.
And maybe an ice cold beer after the show might help as well.
Oh, a it
Right.
makes it sound like a singular thing. Uh, yeah, well, it depends. We have some people who don't touch it. So, but yes, I will have the occasional beer when I feel like I've deserved it.
Yeah. Just two more questions for you. I was going to ask you, what's the craziest thing that's ever happened to you on stage, but falling backwards in your Pumbaa costume might be one.
Oh no. Oh no, that's not even in the top 10. Um, there's just so many stories of stuff that happens. I once ran out with as Pumbaa, and for some reason a rope. Timon falls onto a pallet, it's called. It's like a thing on wheels. And there's somebody who pulls a rope off stage as he goes flying off in the river. And then they set it against the wall when they don't use it. For some reason, I got too close to the wall. The rope of that got caught on my tail. And as I ran out for, the end, the fight where I fart on a hyena and thereby uh, destroy him, it got wrapped me and I pulled that thing out on stage with me. And I'm like, why is his rope attached to Pumbaa and why is that attached to him? Just the other night, the as a result of me falling, I weakened the metal spine on Pumbaa and it snapped right before I went on stage. Like right before, like 30 seconds before my first entrance, get out of here, bowling for buzzards. And I couldn't go out on stage with my back broken because it looked like Pumbaa was dead. So we quickly got out of the puppet, and we had about 10 seconds to decide if we were going to stop the show or come up with another uh, solution. And so I just grabbed the head without the back and went out on stage with just the head. So
Wow.
I had nothing behind me, which is really difficult when you're farting and there's nothing to fart through. So I was like sticking out but it just was. And of course, the cast is always so lovely when things like that happen. They don't make fun of you at all. They're
No,
very
no,
supportive
yeah.
when you go out there with half a costume. And there's things that happen. Stuff happens all the time. So yeah, I would say that the falling, the Pumbaa who was the Pumbaa right before me, who I'm here. He's on an injury. He's injured, so I'm covering his injury till he comes back. And he fell one night and just couldn't get up.
Oh,
So
man.
they stopped the show, and two big burly stage crew hands came over and picked it up off the floor. So yeah, there's a ton of things that happen in this show that way. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it happens all the time. Like every show, something happens.
And then my final question is, what's been your worst audition ever?
Oh, I've had two. I've
I
had
like how
two.
you just knew it immediately.
Oh no, yeah, no, you carry these around forever.
Mm.
Uh, One was Phantom of the Opera, where it was a patter song, and it was one of the producers or whatever. And yeah, I couldn't find a note with a flashlight and a magnifying glass. It was just I was done with the song, and I was just like, I'm just gonna leave now. Thank you. Yeah, I'm out of here. And my all time worst was I auditioned. I had done Newsies, and the musical director, who is a friend and somebody who likes me very much, they were recasting the national tour. They're doing a brand new national tour, and they were looking for people who had never done the show before to bring sort of a new flavor to it. So I was brought in by the musical director, who again I know very well, was the musical director of Newsies. Um, Brought me in sort of as a favor, said, "Look, I got this guy. He's great." And so the song that Thenardier sings is "Master of the House," and famous song. Now I'm not that guy who plays Les Mis. I don't know it very well. I don't really know. I know that song exists, and the first audition I had, I was allowed to hold the paper, the music of the lyrics, and I got a little cocky. Made it all the way to the final callbacks. And so final callbacks is like everybody. It's the producers, it's the director, it's the choreographer, it's the music person. So there's 30 people sitting behind the desk watching. Um, and they're interested in you. They like, look, it's between you and four other guys. So show us what you got. And I got cocky. And I thought, well, I'm not going to do it with the paper in my hand. I'm just going to put it in my back pocket. And wow. Wow. I think I got 5 words out that were correct, and then I messed up, and it just was that stone that picks up, or that snowball that becomes a big avalanche. But I don't know what I said. I don't know what came out of my mouth, but it wasn't Master of the House. It was the lesson here is, people, don't get cocky and think you know the song when you don't know the song. Hold hold the lyrics in your hand. Yeah, and just the 30 faces behind that. That was another one where I just went, I'm just gonna go now. Thank you.
See you later.
I will never work again. Yeah, that was by far the worst thing. I don't know what I said, but it didn't resemble the song at all. And this was a job I wanted. So, that was a mistake that I don't think I'll repeat. But I've done hundreds of auditions, hundreds and hundreds, but that one was special.
It always hurts when it's something you really want.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
When you're it's between you and 5 other guys, and the music director's gone out on a limb to bring you in, and it was bad.
At least you can laugh now.
No, 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 and I haven't earned that yet. But yeah, that was right before the pandemic started, and yeah.